G'day everyone, Prep Aussie here. I hope you're all well in whatever part of the world you're watching this video. Today is Saturday the 8th of December 2018 and the time here is 0940 Australian Eastern Standard Time. Well folks, as I said, things are going to be a little bit over the show with my videos at the moment because of my son being home and me working and trying to get everything done. So I will try to spend more time doing them at night and stuff, so I'll get videos out there. Okay, this is weekly news wrap up number 10. Let's go. Let's get the sponsorship out of the way. This is Totally Rawsome. These guys sponsor my show, and it's golden activated turmeric paste, or turmeric as some people say. Now, I spoke to them the other day. They're going to come on the show next week, hopefully, and give you the rundown on just why, how, etc. this stuff is really good for you. Look folks, I'm not joking. This stuff, as I said, I tried their protein balls the other day. We made them up and they were just fantastic. They really were. I'm not lying. They're a bit of an acquired taste. They're more an adult taste than a kid's taste. The kids won't like them because I tried our kids with them and they didn't like them at all. Not to say that they're awful or anything, it's just that it's an adult kind of taste, if you know what I mean. Me and my wife both thought they were, I spoke to them on the phone the other day and I said, they're just fantastic. So if you can get the protein balls, give them a go. You guys that are concreters, you'll actually like them because they actually make you feel full as well. Like they're just really lovely. Look, I can't lie about it. Okay, this is where they are today, Palm Beach Currumbin Farmers Market at the PBC School if you're in this area. Up until 12 o'clock today, Bundle Farmers Market tomorrow, 6 till 12. Give it a go folks. And look, they will and they can send stuff overseas. So if you want anything from overseas, give them a call, get in touch with them. They will send you stuff. Okie dokie. I got an email from David Morgan of the Silver Investor and the Silver Guru, people call him, the other day. And he sent me this email and it's from Mike Maloney. Look, if you don't know who Mike Maloney is, then you really shouldn't be watching this show. Simple as that. He's up there with Dave, if not better. I mean no offence to David with that, but Mike Maloney is well regarded, very highly regarded as being one of the bigwigs in the market. Same level as Dave probably. This video, Something Wicked This Way Comes, I will leave a link. It is mainly to do with Australia. I'll give you an example. And what Mike does is goes through how he thinks this is playing out. Now the thing with Mike compared to other people is that like Walk the World and all that sort of stuff, who all do very good work, don't get me wrong, I love Walk the World's work. Mike has this ability to transcend worlds, if you know what I mean. So when he's talking to you, he kind of puts it on, he makes it at a level that everybody can understand. And he has those insights in those little bits and pieces, like Dave, who says, well, yeah, you can look there, but don't forget, if you are looking there, then there's all this that goes with that. And he's really, really good at it. And it's an 11-minute video. I'm going to put the link in. Please watch it, because it's really important. It's a fantastic video, and I'm not saying it because someone sent it to me. It's a really good video. He's made it short so you don't sit there for hours going, oh my God, blah, 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 blah. Like for example, he says, well, people, the Sydney-Melbourne housing market, as we now know, is actually collapsing. Well, people are also saying that the Chinese are coming back and the economy is getting better. But it's parities of scale, folks. Remember when the Chinese were in WA, the level was up here. They're coming back in at the market here, and it's not going to get to there. So what happens from now on. And don't forget, the actual level at the moment is down to here. So we've got to try and get to there, not up there. So how does this all play out in the grand scheme of things, like when people are saying you've got to get all the way up to here? Because it's just not going to get there, folks. You know, the Chinese can pump money into the market, etc., but it's just not going to get there. Watch the video. It's an outstanding video. As regards to David, we are currently in discussions to try and get a video done next week, an interview, sorry. So watch this space for that. Okay, so unless you've been living under a rock this week, this is the Trading Economics website, one I always go to. Let me get rid of this. Look over here. I'm on the stocks at the moment, on the right hand side at the top. Stocks. As you may or may not know, stocks literally collapsed this week. Look, let's forget about all the hyperbole, etc. There has never been a recovery. It's all been smoke and mirrors. And as you know, you can't live in a world of smoke and mirrors. It's not going to last long, and it's going to come crashing down. When? Who knows? Nobody knows. It's up to the people in the know. All we can do is make sure that you're prepared. I'll give you an example by preparedness. I've got all my stuff in my bins, and I'm currently going through those bins and throwing out anything that I think I don't need, and I'm replacing it with new. Now, I've had those bins, some of this stuff is in tins, etc. I've had those bins for 3 years, and I'm going through them now because I know that some of the stuff I'll have to throw away. It's as simple as that. But a lot of the stuff is okay. So it's up to you now to start going through your stuff, and I'd recommend you do it real soon. Okay? Just grab a box, go through it. If the stuff's in there that you think you need to replace it. Don't think twice about it. Just do it. Okay? Okay. Well, I warned you the other day that this was going to happen, and it has now happened. Australia is the first country in the world to make it that there is now no encryption in Australia, basically, regardless of what regardless of the bill, the legislation, whatever it is. We now have no encryption laws. They can literally monitor everyone. Think about that. So that phone you got in your hand, the computer service you're using, everything. It's getting to the stage where, and I'm actually very seriously contemplating doing this, is ditching my mobile. And to be honest with you, that's what needs to happen here. There needs to be huge rallies where people just get their mobile, cancel their contracts, force these companies to the wall, perhaps, so that the government changes this law. Now, I said change this law. Don't kid yourself they're going to change this law, because they're not. You know, the only real solution is to actually bunch up all the Muslims, all the people that are here that we don't want here, drive them to Tullamarine or Kingsford Smith or any other major airport that they're at, and literally put them on a plane and fuck them off. That's the only way that this is going to change. Now, this is the only place in the whole world. The actual law is actually more than the US. Now, you need to think about this laterally, folks, because there's two things that's called 5 eyes and 14 eyes. So, excuse me, now that this law's passed, any country in the 14 eyes and any country in the 5 eyes can independently tap into Australia, ask them to spy on their civilians. So basically, Australia's passing the law, and then it'll open up the world to this non-encryption. So it's going to be bloody interesting where this goes and what people are going to do about it. I'm very interested in starting a political, confrontation as regards to this. And what I mean by that is that we actually have protests, etc., and throw phones in the bin, get people to cancel their phone contracts, their mobile contracts, etc., because this is wrong. This is actually an impingement on your human rights. And if they're not going to change the law, then what we need to do is actually get rid of our phones, get rid of certain computer companies, services, providers, IT providers, and, before they wake up. That's how serious this is. They're able to monitor every single thing that you do digitally now. Imagine that. We're a country of 23 million people or something. And the government can now listen to everything that you're doing, watch everything that you're doing. By the way, it's not just on the phones, folks. They can watch everything you're doing through the cameras on the thing, etc. Think I'm joking? Read the law. Read this new legislation that they're bringing through. Now, there is a ray of hope that some lawyers out there, if you're a lawyer watching this, or if you know someone that is a lawyer, ask him to start getting a class action lawsuit against the government on this, because we need to get this shut down. But as I said, whatever we do, they will never get rid of this law. They will keep some of it. So it's now up to people like us to either keep mobiles or get rid of them. How fucking sad is that? It's unbelievable, folks. It really is. What are we... I've said this before. What are we passing on to our kids? If we don't make a stand now, what are we passing on to our kids? Something to think about anyway. Now, just in case you're thinking, oh, Labor, blah, blah, blah. Well, no, this is the little shitbag here, Bill Shorten. Now, this is how pathetic this is. Bill Shorten says Labor was not prepared to leave encryption laws hanging over summer break. Now, the reason he's given that is because he was worried about national security. Now, it's just a joke, folks. I'm sorry, but I can't say it any other way. Guys, look, as much as nobody wants this, Julian Assange is going to be forced to leave the embassy. At which stage he's going to be arrested by the UK government, and then he's going to be extradited to the US. Now, I'm predicting that he will leave the embassy once Theresa May has been kicked out. How can I say something like that? Well, Theresa May, if you haven't guessed this already, is connected to the old school, which a lot of them are. Now, it would appear that his only hope is Boris Johnson or someone else similar taking over from Theresa May, because Boris Johnson has already backed Julian Assange and said this is ridiculous. At that stage, he will leave as long as he's extradited to the US, believe it or not. At which stage he will be, this is even if he's still in there. Who knows? No one's seen him, hide nor hair of him. So this will mean that he will go to the US and give evidence at the grand jury, which is a good thing. Because at that stage, he will literally have to turn over everything. Which will mean, if you haven't already guessed it, the end of WikiLeaks. Because he will literally give everything over to them. So, I'm guessing part of the deal will be, well, mate, we'll give you freedom, but you have to give us everything. So he'll just give them the keys to the vault sort of thing and say, there you go. It'll mean the end of WikiLeaks as we know it, and it may morph into a new sort of a thing after that, but I would guess that Julian Assange will no longer be able to do what he's doing. How sad is that? That's how bad this world is. Once again, what are we leaving our kids? I want to spend a bit of time on this because I don't know whether you guys have noticed this or not, but I was actually speaking to Stroppy Me the other night about this. There's something seriously wrong at the moment with the weather and other things that are happening. I live in southeast Queensland, and it's December. I rang Stroppy Me and traditionally, if you're from America, you can imagine that being Florida in the middle of June, July, hottest part of the year. Now, I rang Stroppy the other night, and I rang him and I said to him, how come it's the middle of December, I'm driving my car, which I was at the time, I've got all the windows up, and I haven't got the aircon on. Now, if you're living here, or if you know this area of Queensland very well, you would think to yourself, hang on, December, should be sweating your ass off if you're sitting in a car with no aircon and no windows down. Folks, it was that cold, I could have been wearing a jumper. So this was a few nights ago, I think it was Wednesday night. Yeah, it was Tuesday, Wednesday night or something like that. That's how cold it was. Oh, sorry, it was Thursday because I had to go to the eye specialist, the Specsavers. It was that cold. I was actually walking around the shopping centre just down the road from me here, and I was cold when I was in there because it was actually cold because the aircon was on. And then you have these fires. Now, I'm not sure if any of you guys have been keeping an eye on this, but I would ask you to have a look at some of the Paradise fires in California. Now, when you're watching the drone footage, explain to me how everything is destroyed, and then there's trees without anything burnt on them, nothing, and shrubs. Folks, the intensity of that fire literally melted cars and buildings, and then turned everything to ash. So how come in a fire that's literally that intense, they're flying down a street, for example, and you'll see all the conifer firs there, and the bottom is all burnt, but nothing on the top is? Or you'll see the trees, you can actually see the trees in the background, and they're green, they're not even burnt. And what I said to Strop was, it seems to me, I know this is going to sound a bit weird, but it actually seems to me like they're burning, they're burning places that people can hide. Does that make sense to anybody else? And what I mean by that is, here in Queensland, for example, we've had fires here that have just ravaged, fires like nobody's ever seen, like intensity-wise. And you just think, it just seems unnatural and not real. And people are coming up with this direct energy weapon. Look, I can't comment, but it just seems really weird to me that, and it's the same in the fires in Queensland. You're watching the news footage and there'll be whole swathes of areas just destroyed, and the trees are green. And you just think, how is that possible? If the fire was that intense, everything should have been burnt to the ground, shouldn't it? Doesn't that make sense? But they're said here, if you read the article, The scientists just can't believe the intensity and their ferocity. And look, I've got to be honest, so have I. And look, you don't go around looking at bushfires every day, but they just seem unnatural. And this started last year. Was it last year when we had the big bushfires in California again? And you were looking at acres and acres of land just ravaged with trees standing, not touched. And you think, how is that possible? How is that physically possible? It's not possible. And it's the same here in Queensland. It's the same in Paradise. You've got whole areas ravaged by the bushfires and there's trees standing, not touched. It's not possible. It is not physically possible to do that. So I just don't, it seems to me like there's something going on. And I said to Strop, my exact words were, it seems to me like they're burning areas to stop where people could hide. Does that make sense? Maybe, perhaps not, I don't know. But it just seems that way to me, like they're burning areas where people can hide. Be interesting to hear your comments. Okay, folks, verse of the day. Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. The one who believes in me will live, even though they die. I'll read it again. Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. The one who believes in me will live, even though they die. Okay, folks, I'll finish with the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power and the glory, for ever and ever. Amen. All right, folks, I'll leave it there. And we'll speak during the week, and then I'll try and get a few more videos out next week than I did this week. Look, I could have made this an hour long today. There's so much news going on. But I'm trying to keep it to 20 minutes or so because it's just, otherwise it gets too long. I could actually do 2 weekly news wrap-ups or 3. To be honest with you, there's that much going on. I'm trying to be relevant though, you know. So, look, as I said, heads down, prep up, prep out.